what's up? This is Simon from DevTactic. Today I'm back with an Ionic 2 tutorial using the first release candidate. So hopefully we're on a pretty stable version right now and this tutorial won't change or there won't be breaking updates. So we're gonna build a simple RSS reading app using Ionic 2, and therefore we will use the Ionic CLI as usual to create a blank new project and using the second version of Ionic 2. So while this is installing, let's wait until it's finished. Okay, so once the app is ready, navigate to the folder and let's start generating some assets. So we generate a page called feed list, which we will use later on. And we can also generate a provider, which we simply call our feed service. So this service will be injected to our pages later on. We also need the Ionic Storage package because we want to store the RSS feeds we already added, and this is the new way of doing this. And finally, we add the in-app browser, so we can simply open the in-app browser for articles inside our app. So let's go to the code. All right, and we can also call Ionic Serve already here and just shut it down for now. Okay, so this is the structure of our app, and we navigate to the pages for now. No, we start with the providers. So our feed service is quite empty at the moment. This feed service will take care of loading the feed data, and to do so we obviously need some imports. We need the injectable for the feed service, HTTP to make requests, to map and change the result. We need the storage for storing the feed data we already added, and observable so our TypeScript is not complaining about what we're doing. Let's see, our app currently looks like this. Let's put it to the side. Well, that's a bit too big, I think. And maybe we can also add some logging just in case we make any errors. All right, let's continue with our feed service. So we're using TypeScript and we can define some classes to make our life a lot easier. So we will define two classes, a feed item and also the class feed, which will simply hold some values which we can then pass to our views. All of them are strings for now, and the feed item simply represents one article, which always has a link, a title, and a description. And we also create the constructor for this. So we obviously need all of those values and the title, and then we can assign them to our variables we already defined. All right, so this is the feed item. The feed looks quite the same, so let me paste in the code for this. It's a title and the URL, not really interesting at this point. Okay, let's go to our actual feed service, and we already have the HTTP provider imported. We also need the storage of the type storage. Oh, sorry. And the constructor has no real other functions at this point. So inside our feed service we need three functions. We need get saved feeds, which will return the feeds from our storage. We need add feed to add a new feed item, And we also need one big function for getting articles. Get articles for URL. So for one feed URL, we need to retrieve the articles inside that RSS feed. Okay, so let's start with the get saved feeds. The storage returns, or the get function is it's actually a promise still. So we call this .storage get, and we want to get the value for saved feeds. And once we get it, we can use that data, which is actually a string. So we need to convert it to an object. So let's call it object from string and simply use JSON parse as it will be a JSON string on our data object. So if we actually get something, so just some security checks here, so we don't return any shit, re-return the parse data, which is the object from string. Otherwise, we simply return an empty array just to prevent any crashes or anything else. Okay, so this is how to get our saved feeds. Now to our add feeds, we again return this promise. First of all, we need to retrieve the feeds we already have. So we can use the function we just created. And with this array of feeds, we can easily call push to append our new feed. So again, this array of feeds is now an object. Therefore, we need to convert it to a JSON string. And this is almost the same, but now we call stringify on the array of feeds, just like this. And finally, we want to edit, so we return this .storage set. So we set our JSON string for the saved feeds property. All right, this is everything we need to add and get saved feeds. Now let's go to our get articles for URL. This is a bit tricky. So let's copy in first of all this. So we make use of query.yahoo APIs, which will parse feed URL, which is returning RSS data, and we want to format it to JSON. So this string is created from the builder. Oh, hi Sting, nice to see you. Let me close Steam for now. We're not playing at this moment. Sorry for that. So back to our get articles for URL. Let's define an empty array of articles, which we will finally return. But we obviously, first of all, need to make an HTTP call, which is a simple get call to the URL. And we map that data so we can change parts of it, and we call .json, and we already extract some results because we know at which position the data will be. So it's at query results. All right, now let's use another map because, well, we can. And the data we have here should be quite good, but just in case it's null for some reasons, we return the empty articles array so we don't get any problems inside our page once we use this. We need to go actually one level deeper here to get the items, and we want to shorten the description. So we define a length of 20, you will see why. And let me copy in the rest because I might fuck it up. So here we have it. So we go through our objects with a simple for loop and we get every item, and from the item we take the description and check if the length is bigger than our 20, which actually, well, yeah, okay, so we make a substring from 0 to 80, so I think the length should be 80. I'm not sure why, but I made this before. So otherwise we simply return the item description for the description. Finally, we create a new feed item using the description, the item link, the item title, and we push this item to our array. And finally, we just return our articles. So this is everything for our feed service, which is actually the heart of our app. So let's continue with the home screen and add some more information there. So home, come on, yes, there we have it. Let's start by importing viewChild. I'm not completely sure if we actually, yes, okay, I think we still need it like this. We need to get some navigation, and from Ionic Angular we want to import the alert controller as well and the nav. Yeah, okay, we got this, and we need to import two more things. So we need the other page, the feed list page, and we need this service. You see the red line? In the first version currently, if you generate a feed list, it will not append page, so we have to manually append feed list page. Now it's correct. We also import the feed service and the feed here. We got the component, we got our class. We can add the viewChild, which will use the navigation so we can better navigate from our side menu. Okay, we also got a root page, which will be the feed list page, and we got an array of feeds where we can actually use our type feed. Okay, so inside our constructor we have the nav controller, we have the feed service, and we have the alert controller. So to add a feed, the function is quite big, but it's actually not doing that much. So let's go through the add feed function. First of all, we will create a simple alert view, and we will have two input fields for the name and the URL. Once we hit save on that box, we can handle this data to create a new feed object from that data and call our feed service add feed with a new feed. And once this is done, we want to reload, oh yeah, sorry for that. We want to load our feeds again. So let's implement our load feeds. Yeah, we got some errors on the left side, but that's fine. So we will use our feed service in the load feeds to get saved feeds. And once we get the data, we should have all feeds, and we can simply say this feeds equal all feeds. We will use this array inside our view very soon. So we got load feeds. We also need open feed. So once the user selects a feed, oh yeah, we will, yeah. That's a nice error. Actually, I know what this is doing. So let's continue. Once we click on a feed in our side menu, which we will create, we want to pass the information to the main view. So therefore we call our navigation setRoute, and we pass a feed list page, and also we pass some parameters, and we define selected feed will have the feed. So we can catch this data inside the feed list page later, and we know which feeds to retrieve. Finally, we make use of Ion view will enter. Ion view will enter, which will be called, as you might notice, when the view enters. And in that case, we want to load our feeds to populate our list. Let's go to our home HTML, and let me replace the content with something better. Okay, so we define an Ion menu, and this part is the content of the menu, and this part is the root page or the main content we see in the main screen. So at the top we simply have recent articles, and inside we have a list of buttons which will go over our feeds and add the open feed to every item. Below the list we also have a new button to add a feed, and that's already everything. So as you can see, nothing is loading right now, and this is because we haven't properly loaded the stuff inside our app module TS. So at this moment we need to load the feed list page. This might change in an upcoming release of Ionic, but for now we have to add it here and in the entry components. We also have a provider, so therefore we need to import our feed service as well, which should be in providers feed service, I guess. And this feed service needs to be injected to the providers. So if we are lucky, our app is now more happy than before. I think, yeah, it needs one more reload. Okay, yeah, that's good news. We also used, where was it? Right, it was here. We also used the storage, which is also a provider. So we need to add the storage to the array of providers as well. The error messages are quite good compared to Angular 1 or Ionic 1. All right, so we got the feed list. We actually don't see our button, but I think this is fine as we haven't defined the feed list HTML, which is this part. Let's see if we can fix it very fast. Yeah, we should be able to do it like this. So inside the Ion header, we add a navbar, we add a button which has the menu toggle, and this will take care of toggling the menu. So we currently don't have some title here, but that's fine. And we can see this is our recent articles on the site. This is actually the home HTML and this part. So once we press add feed, we can add feed, my feed, and some URL. And you can see we have my feed appearing here. So we are fine up to this point, and we can continue with the actual implementation of the articles view, which is the feed list HTML and the feed list TS. Let's start with the feed list TS. So we need to import a few things here. Let me copy it. Okay, so we got component and we got the nav params, which will help us to gather the value we passed from our, where is it? Yes, from this set root feed list page selected feed. We need to get this information inside our constructor. So let me replace it with this. Our selected feed is obviously of the type feed. We defined it for this. We also have an array of articles. And finally, let's define a loading variable. No, it's big boolean. Come on. So we can display a spinner while making our HTTP request to the backend, to the API, sorry. Okay, so inside our constructor, we are extracting this selected feed and setting it. Now, we will use again the Ion viewable enter. And inside the Ion viewable enter, we first of all check if our selected feed is really set. So if it's set, we want to load the articles. Public load articles. And if it's not set, we have some little workaround. We don't need this, but well, why not? This will get our saved feeds, check if we actually have one, and if we have more than 0 feeds, we just take the first one, set it as the selected feed, and call load articles then. So load articles is now taking care of loading all articles for a feed. First of all, we set our loading to true, which will be used inside the view to show the spinner. Then we can simply use our feed service and call get articles for URL, which will be this .selected feed.url. So you can see it's nice to have these classes which give me auto completion here, so I can be sure I'm using the correct objects. And here we can actually use subscribe because we are simply returning the HTTP call, which is now handled like this. So we get some data at this point, and this data is already the correct formatted data for our articles array. And finally, we need to set the loading to false to hide the spinner again. So there's one function missing by now, and this is to open an article. We pass a URL, and normally it would be done like this, using the in-app browser, calling open URL and blank. But we're currently testing this in the browser, so this won't really work. And therefore we're using it a bit different, so we simply call window.open just to see if it's working. Okay, so this is the feed list. Let's go to our HTML and let's complete what we already started up here. I simply add a title. So if we have no selected feed, using ngIf, we show newest articles. Otherwise, we show the title of the selected feed, which might in this case be, my feed, just like I described it there. And the Ion content is getting a class, and we will make the styling later. And we add an Ion spinner, which will only be displayed if loading is true. And now we're coming to, now we actually have one more fallback, which we can display. So if no feed is selected, we display a placeholder. I think this won't happen now anymore, as I already have this beautiful feed, but yeah, let's keep it like this. Finally, let me format it for you. Oh shit. Okay. So we got this Ion list, and this is only displayed if we actually have a selected feed. In that case, we can iterate over our articles, add a click event to open the link of the article and the class. And inside we're displaying the title and the description, but the description is wrapped as inner HTML of this element. This just gave me the best results for that. Alright, we're pretty close to finishing our app. So the last missing piece is actually adding some CSS. So inside the page feed list, I put in some CSS. You can find the complete code on my blog. The link will be below the video. Just also make sure if there are updates to check out that code. But I hope, again, there will be no breaking updates. So let's see, hopefully it's working by now. This feed is obviously trash, so let's add this feed. Let's see, I think it's simply, yes, it's devtactic.com/feed. So this is my RSS feed from the DevTactic blog. We add it, we select it, we see the spinner, and we see the beautiful articles from my blog. You might have noticed that we trim the description. So let's see if we now increase the size of our view. The description is actually trimmed here. This was just a random value. You can make it to fit whatever. You could leave it away, whatever you like. But this is okay. So we got, I think, 20 articles are coming back from the Yahoo API. And for all, we got the title and the description. We actually don't get the image, which is kind of sad. But, well, I think this is already a pretty good result, displaying the stuff here. So finally, if we click on the link, we're coming to the Ultimate Ionic 2 cheat sheet. Make sure to check it out if you haven't checked it out, and to share it on your preferred network. Yeah, just a short side note. But as you can see, we got the feeds, we got the add function, we can open feeds. So this is everything we need for our simple RSS feed reader. If you like this tutorial and want to see more Ionic 2 tutorials, or maybe Ionic 1 tutorials if there's some special stuff coming up in the next time, make sure to subscribe to my blog email list and also to my YouTube channel for new videos. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Bye.